The film begins in 1989. Mike O'Donnell, a handsome adolescent high school basketball star, shoots hoops. Coach Murphy enters and tells him to relax. A scout is expected to attend tonight's game, and Mike is a lock for a scholarship. When the coach summons all of the players for a photo shoot, Mike instructs them to wait for Ned, the water boy. The others are mocking Ned, but Mike claims he's a team player. Ned Gold enters, dressed as Harry Potter and stumbling over his robe. Except for Mike, his best friend, the other players mock him. They strike a pose for the camera. Just as it all comes together, one of the jocks gives Ned a wedgie, causing him to jump. It's game time. Mike joins in on the cheerleading routine for Mike's team, the Hayden Warriors, dancing and posing for the cheering crowd. As he gets ready for the game, he notices his girlfriend, Scarlett, standing near the rafters and waving at him. He rushes over to her and gives her a bear hug. He also creates a unique shooting pose for her. However, she appears hesitant. He inquires as to the nature of the problem, but she attempts to dismiss it. He persists, and she informs him. He appears completely dazed, indicating that the news has hit him hard. The game begins, but Mike's mind is elsewhere. He just stands there on the floor, dribbling the ball and thinking. His teammates, coach, and the audience are all surprised to see him do nothing. He sees Scarlett walk away, sad. To everyone's surprise, he makes a decision and throws the ball over his shoulder before sprinting to Scarlett. The coach notices the scout close his book metaphorically. Mike approaches Scarlett and expresses his desire to be there for her. She tells him he has a future, but he says the baby is his future. She tries to walk away, but he kisses her, effectively ending the conversation. Then he awakens in the present day. He's at his friend Ned's house. Ned has become a billionaire. They talk about Mike being kicked out by Scarlett, who is now his ex-wife, and his children not wanting to be with him over breakfast. Mike, on the other hand, is up for a big promotion and is very excited about it. Mike goes to Wyatt Pharmaceuticals' office. He attends a meeting where his boss, Dean, discusses a new drug that provides a 4-hour erection. Except for Mike, all of the ladies seated at the conference table are attractive. When Dean brings up the subject of the promotion, everyone stands up, excited. Dean announces that one of the attractive ladies has been promoted. Mike is perplexed as the ladies celebrate. When the ladies have all left, he confronts Dean. He informs him that he has been with the company for 16 years, whereas the lady has only been there for a few months. Dean brushes him aside to take a call, but Mike yanks off his Bluetooth earpiece and slams it against the wall furiously. As the ladies enter the elevator, they pay no attention to Mike, who stands there morosely with all his belongings dumped in a box. He's either been fired or has resigned. As if it matters. Hayden, he drives over to his old school. He walks onto the empty basketball court and reflects for a while. He looks at his old 1989 picture in the trophy cabinet in the hall. When the school janitor walks by, he recognizes him. He claims to have been a high school star who did not live up to his full potential. He claims that people return to relive the glory days as if they were living in the past. Mike wishes he could go back in time because it was better for him. When the janitor asks if he wants a do-over, Mike says yes nostalgically. The janitor beams. Mike's daughter, Maggie, and her friends arrive just then. Mike notices that the janitor has gone missing. He tells her he's coming to take her and her brother out for ice cream. He basically forces them to go, while other children and their parents enjoy themselves at the ice cream shop. Mike, Maggie, and Alex sit quietly at a table. Maggie and Alex aren't thrilled to be there, especially with their father. Maggie is listening to her iPod while Alex is playing video games on his PlayStation. He approaches Alex about trying out for basketball. Alex, who is too preoccupied with his video game to look up, responds noncommittally. To get his father off his back, he tells him Maggie has gotten into Georgetown. Mike tries to congratulate her, but she ignores him, pretending to dance to the music despite the fact that her earphones are not even plugged in. He drives them home, and they walk in without saying anything to him. He notices Scarlett in the backyard, stuffing his belongings into a wood chipper. Their divorce is not yet final, but she has begun to exclude him from her life. She's fed up with him for whining about how his life could have been different all these years. He expresses his dissatisfaction with his life. She tells him angrily that they are no longer holding each other back. She'll run into him in court. Naomi, her friend, arrives. Mike and Naomi have a strained relationship. Naomi advises Scarlett to put herself back on the market. Scarlett bids Mike farewell and enters the house. Mike walks out, dissatisfied, just as it begins to rain. He is driving in the rain. His car radio begins to malfunction, randomly switching stations. He notices a man standing on the edge of a bridge, about to jump. He comes to a sudden halt and yells at the man. The man turns to reveal himself to be the Hayden High janitor. Just as a truck passes by, he smiles at a surprised Mike. When it passes, the janitor has vanished over the ledge. Mike rushes to the water's edge and looks down. He is taken aback when he sees a whirlpool and his younger self reaching out to him. He falls into the water unexpectedly. He arrives at Ned's place a while later, completely muddy and wet. He is hosing himself off in the shower. Then he screams at himself in the mirror. He's back to looking like his 17-year-old self. Hearing the scream, Ned awakens. Mike looks at himself in disbelief in the bathroom. Ned enters, wearing a Spartan helmet and wielding a battle axe. When he notices the younger Mike, he swings the axe at him. Mike tries to explain, but Ned is too terrified to listen. Mike is able to defend himself against the hysterical Ned because he is younger and more agile. They'll soon be fighting with lightsabers. Mike recalls past events involving Ned to probe his identity, but Ned manages to dismiss Mike. He sees a picture of the two of them graduating in 1989 as he prepares to beat Mike with a picture frame. When he finally gets it, he drops the frame directly onto Mike's head, knocking him out. When he awakens, he and Ned try to figure out what happened. After asking a slew of ski-fee-related questions, Ned concludes that it must be spirit god transformation magic. Mike deduces that the janitor is his spirit god. Still wearing older Mike's filthy and much looser suit, he dashes off to Hayden High, where he urgently inquires of the students about the janitor. He comes across a female janitor who informs him that she is the only janitor at the school. He sees Alex and attempts to call out to him after she has left. Alex dashes away. Mike notices flickering lights and a pool of water on the floor leading to a door. He follows the water trail and comes across an unattended bucket and mop outside a room. Looking inside, he notices the basketball court. He rushes back to Ned's and declares that he knows what he must do. He's returning to high school. Ned is skeptical, but Mike is unwavering. Ned refuses to participate in any way. And soon, he's introducing Mike to the principal as Mark, a new student. Mike is dressed strangely, like Kevin Federline. Mark runs into Stan, a bully, on their way to meet the principal, Jane Masterson. It's love at first sight for Ned the moment he sees Jane. Mark is accepted into the school thanks to Ned's doctored documents. Mark drags Ned out when he tries to hit on Jane. Students stare at Mike's Kevin Federline-style clothing as they walk through the halls. As a result, Ned takes him shopping. He arrives the next day in a flashy sports car, dressed much more respectably but stylishly. As he walks into school, people look at him. The bell rings, and the hall is crowded with quick-walking students who shoulder bump and push him as they walk. Scarlett calls him during his class. He's running late for his divorce hearing. He tries to lie, saying he's out of the country, but the cheerleaders behind him can hear him. One of them approaches him and asks him out on a date. Scarlett's lawyer advocates for full custody of the children, but Mike objects. Maggie walks in, and he notices her. He claims to be closer to them than she believes and requests a reschedule. During gym class, he discovers that he still has basketball skills. Coach Murphy takes notice of him, yes, the same one, only 20 years older. He invites Mike to the tryouts. Mark calls Ned from the bathroom to tell him the good news. After hanging up, he notices Alex duct taped to a toilet. Outraged, he inquires as to who committed the crime. The basketball team, Alex responds. Mike is surprised that his son is not well known. He introduces himself as Mark Gold, the son of his uncle Ned. To Alex's chagrin, he begins to undo the tape. They go to lunch, where Mike says they should look out for one another. Alex appears to be interested in Nicole, the head cheerleader. The basketball team, led by Stan, then enters. They enter the cafeteria, pushing smaller children aside and stealing their lunches. Maggie's boyfriend is Stan. Mike is disappointed that Maggie is dating a bully after seeing her and Stan kiss. Stan approaches and shoves Alex around. Mike takes a stand in support of his son. He humiliates Stan verbally, calling him a bully and a dick, while expertly spinning Stan's basketball, much to the delight of the entire school. At Ned's house, he eats junk food and complains about his son being a punching bag and his daughter being a bully's girlfriend. He is now aware of his spirit path. He must assist his children. He visits his ex-home. Wives, he notices Alex shooting hoops in the yard. Alex appears to be a competent basketball player. Mike realizes that Alex, as part of his spirit path, should be on the basketball team. Scarlett and Naomi arrive in their car just then. Mike is introduced by Alex as Mark, Ned's bastard. Scarlett, who is a little tipsy, appears surprised to see Mike. She grabs his face and pulls his cheeks, saying how much he resembles her husband. Naomi drags her away and advises her to find another man. Mike throws the ball at Naomi and apologizes, though he does chastise her for trying to hook up with a married woman. The next day, as he walks into class, he notices Stan and Maggie in a lip lock. He sits and breaks it up innocently. Abstinence is the topic of the day. Mike declares that it's a fantastic idea and that everyone should make a pact to avoid sex. He gets a lot of amused giggles and puzzled looks from the other people. However, the teacher knows that no one will abstain, so she passes a box of condoms around to emphasize safe sex, much to Mike's horror. Stan snatches a handful. Mike claims he won't require any because he'll only have sex with the girl he adores. And sex should be done by married people in order to have children. The other girls are moved as he describes the joy of having a baby, forgetting himself. They immediately return the condoms. Stan grabs more and kisses Maggie forcibly. Mike, enraged, attacks Stan and the two fight, with Mike being beaten down. The fight is videotaped and broadcast to the entire school. Mike is summoned to the principal's office, along with his father, Ned, who comes dressed to impress the principal. He tries his bizarre seduction technique in Jane's office, but Jane dismisses him. He arrives at Scarlett's house and finds her in the yard, preparing to do some gardening. She leads him into the backyard and explains what she intends to do to repair it. He unintentionally refers to her as Scar, and she notices. He volunteers to assist her. Mike coaches Alex in basketball, assists Scarlett with her garden, and tries to keep Maggie away from Stan, while Ned continues to flirt with Jane. Mike and Alex are both chosen for the team following the tryouts. Scarlett is overjoyed to learn the good news. She shows them the finished backyard, which looks fantastic. Mike compliments her and encourages her to start her own business. She's pleased. She tells him she's going on a date that involves dancing. He notices her in front of a mirror dancing. He requests that she teach him. They begin to dance quite well. He inquires about her husband and whether they will ever reconcile. She's fairly certain they won't. Alex, who is perplexed by their dancing, interrupts them. He informs them that her date has arrived. Dean, Mike's former boss, is her date. Mike is furious and tries to talk Scarlett out of going, but she persists. Stan comes by as they drive away to pick up Maggie for a party. Mike attends the party, dragging Alex along with him. The party is being held at a bowling alley. Alex is terrified to be there, but Mike assures him that he is a member of the basketball team. When they see Nicole, Alex attempts to flee, but Mike stops him. He assures him that he is not a loser. He encourages Alex to speak with Nicole. While looking for Maggie, he is distracted by three of Maggie's friends, Jaime, Samantha, and Lauren. They try to seduce him, but he sits them down and tries to reason with them, but it's as if he's speaking to the walls. He walks away, muttering something about other father's problems. As Alex awkwardly and nervously converses with Nicole, he comes too close to a candle and his pant leg catches fire. He dashes to the bathroom. Mike approaches Maggie and takes a seat beside her. He inquires as to what she sees in Stan. She dismissively informs him that she and Stan plan to live together after high school. He'll be working at Home Depot, while she'll be attending community college to be closer to him. Mike is not going to let that happen. He forbids her from seeing Stan angrily. She becomes enraged and walks away. The following day, a basketball game is in progress. Scarlett and Dean are both in the audience. Hayden High is trailing by a few points. Mike becomes enraged when he sees Stan kissing Maggie. Mike must decide whether to pass to Stan or Alex with seconds remaining in the game. He selects Alex and he scores. Hayden wins. Everyone rejoices, except Stan, who is furious. Nicole congratulates Alex, but his nervousness almost deflates the occasion. Ned approaches Principal Jane after the game and invites her out to dinner. She agrees after some persuasion, though she doesn't want anything flashy from Ned. Mike throws a party at his house to help Alex with Nicole. Later he goes to Maggie when he notices her crying. She sobs as she claims Stan dumped her because she refused to have sex with him. He consoles her, greatly relieved. She misinterprets his fatherly advice and attempts to kiss him, but he dodges and sidesteps her, inviting her to the party. The party quickly becomes known throughout the school. The party has begun at Ned's house. Mike notices Alex finally connecting with Nicole. Ned tries to appear refined in front of Jane at a fancy restaurant, but fails miserably. He admits to being a jerk. She, on the other hand, demonstrates that she, too, is a nerd by quoting Lord of the Rings. Stan tries to apologize to Maggie while drunk at the party, but she dismisses him and informs him that she is with someone else. Mike arrives and tells him to leave before calling the cops. Stan insults Maggie, which prompts Mike to swing at him. He misses, but Stan catches him and knocks Mike out. When he wakes up, his head is on Maggie's lap, and she is caressing him. He immediately recoils, but she pounces, thinking it's a game. To keep her off, he tells her he has another girlfriend. She accepts it and departs. Ned and Jane converse in elf tongue at the restaurant, culminating in her asking him, "Your lair or mine?" He requests the check. The party appears to be getting out of hand, with children playing with Ned's most prized possessions. Scarlett appears, looking for Alex. Mike informs her that Alex has a girlfriend and that he will accompany her to them. When Ned arrives home, he is furious to see his house in such disarray. He evicts everyone, with the assistance of Principal Jane. Scarlett and Mike stand there watching Alex and Nicole kiss. She is overjoyed and grateful to Mike for being a positive role model. As they talk, he unexpectedly kisses her, much to Maggie and her friend's surprise. Scarlett slaps him and storms away in rage. He pursues her, confessing that he is not Mark, but her husband and the father of her children. That irritates her, and she yells at him and walks away. Maggie approaches and slaps him, followed by Samantha, Lauren, and Jaime. Jane walks away and tells Ned that this is why she doesn't date students' parents. Mike expresses regret to Ned. Ned slaps him a few times and declares victory. The next morning, Ned cleans up the aftermath of the party, while Mike laments his gaffe. He must appear in court as part of the divorce proceedings. Ned drives him there in his convertible while sounding a police siren. Ned storms into the courtroom, pretending to be a lawyer. The judge, on the other hand, orders the bailiffs to remove him and Mike from the courtroom. Mike yells, "I have a letter from Mike O'Donnell." Scarlett requests to hear it. Mike begins to read the letter. He sobs as he remembers the first time he met Scarlett and how much he adores her. He apologizes for holding her responsible for his failures. He doesn't want to divorce her, but he cares about her and wants her to be happy. Scarlett is emotionally attentive. Now that he's finished, he is ordered to leave by the judge. He walks out, leaving the paper behind. Scarlett watches as he walks out and then requests that the hearing be postponed. When she examines the paper, she notices that it only contains directions. And she's finally getting it. While shooting hoops at Ned's house, Mike tells Ned that his family is better off without him. He's free to go. Scarlett looks through their high school yearbook for Mike's 1989 picture at Scarlett's house. On the hammock, she notices a wedding band and a note. Mike apologizes for not finishing what he started. Coach Murphy approaches Mike on the basketball court, similar to the first scene, and tells him about a scout coming in and Mike being a shoo-in. The team is photographed. The action is about to begin. Scarlett and Maggie walk in. Maggie informs her mother that she intends to attend Georgetown. Ned approaches Jane and expresses his desire to be friends with her. They appear to be back together after some geek talk. The game begins. Mike strikes the same special shooting pose for Scarlett as he did at the start of the film. Scarlett stands up and begins to walk away, having fully grasped the situation. And, as in the beginning of the film, a similar situation develops. He notices her near the rafters, about to leave. Everything was the same as before. The coach, the crowd, the scout. He makes a decision. He throws the ball to Alex and runs away. His spirit guard watches and smiles as he does so. Alex is inserted into the game. Mike pursues Scarlett. As he does so, his vision begins to wave, followed by a flash. He dashes to the front door. Scarlett appears and inquires if it is he. Mike's former self is her husband. He expresses his feelings for her and expresses his desire to be with her. He promises to make amends. She kisses him and forgives him. Hayden High wins the game thanks to Alex. Mike and Scarlett leave, reminiscing about Mike's six-pack from his youth. During the credits, Mike goes to Ned's bedroom to thank him and discovers Principal Jane hiding beneath the sheets. Mike is now the coach after Coach Murphy retired after 20 years. Ned presents him with a new whistle.